The following is a presentation of TFNN. Time to talk about your health. Living a primal lifestyle.
You know, we have Tom from Tampa on the phone. Hey, Tom. Good morning. It's bright and early now, huh?
Hey, Paige. Good. How you guys doing, Nico?
Doing great.
Good. Hey, your newsletter's outstanding, man. I'm telling you, man, it is outstanding. And so is the Primal Edge. I love that stuff. I'd never be without it. I mean, I've been on it now 3-4 months, man. I mean, it's just, I can't get over how good I feel.
Primal Edge is, people are raving about it. People who are trying it, they know because you can feel it.
Would not be without it.
Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044. Now your hosts, Nico Haan and Paige Clarke.
Good morning. I'm Nico Haan. Welcome to Living a Primal Lifestyle, where we can explore a return to a more balanced, natural, wild world.
So we can regain our natural health and our freedoms. I'm Paige Clarke.
Yeah, it's a beautiful day here, downtown Clearwater, 59 degrees. Going to be clear and mild today, Paige. It's nice.
Nice. Yeah, it feels like we're having that shift in weather. That kind of sort of humid, not so cold.
It's a crazy, crazy year. I mean, it's up and down all the time.
I know. Hey, so what about this this new study, in the largest systemic review of its kind, an international team of experts led by Newcastle University in the UK, has shown that both organic milk and meat products contain around 50% more omega-3 fatty acids than conventionally produced products. I think this is great when we have some research to support the fact that we explain there's a big difference between conventionally raised animal foods and, those that are, raised in their natural habitat.
Yeah.
And, what we've known for years that they're more healthful for us, and now we've got some great university research to support it.
Yeah, the systematic literature reviews analyzed data from around the world and found that organic milk and meat have more desirable fat profiles than conventional milk and meat. More importantly, a switch from conventional to organic would raise the omega-3 fat intake without increasing calories and desired saturated fat.
Yeah,
you want to give the example here?
Well, one of the things is I think that there's the key findings from this were that organic meat has slightly lower concentrations of two fatty acids, myristic and palmitic acid, that are linked to an increased risk of cardiovascular disease. Again, there's that supposition of saturated fat and linked to heart disease. Don't know if following that, but again, I think it's when they're mixed with some of the toxic chemicals. But organic milk contains 40% more conjugated linoleic acid,
which is
CLA.
the really good stuff that's in butter also, right?
Right. The CLA kind of helps us burn fat.
Okay.
That's kind of a neat thing to find. So this is, when people argue, there's no difference between organic milk. No, there is. And these are the key nutrients that are. And organic milk contains slightly higher concentrations of iron, vitamin E, and some carotenoids, which are, your antioxidants that really help fight free radicals.
So the study showed that the more desirable fat profiles in organic meat were closely linked to outdoor grazing, which we always talk about, and low concentration feeding in dairy diets as prescribed by the organic farming standards. So this is a huge thing. You know how I got this? This morning I was listening to the morning weather report from The Sun with Ben Davidson, and he was talking about this. Oh. Because he's going more towards the paleo type, and
he's listening to our show, I bet.
Well,
we listen to his show.
No doubt about that, yeah. So there's a lot of things that are cool about this. First of all, Weston Price, in the very beginning of the 19th century, already had talked about how the real nice grass of the summer raises mortality rate.
Well, the grass, Weston Price always referred to it as the X factor in his research.
Yes.
Little did we know that the X factor that he was referring to was actually vitamin K2, which we talked about extensively last week.
Right.
So it's actually the vitamin K2 that is produced from animals that eat rapidly growing grass. And we can take this a step further, Nico, I believe, and really kind of expound on the fact that even more superior to just organic is raw organic dairy.
Right.
Because then you're getting the enzymes that are packaged by our Creator
Right.
to process and digest these.
Right.
So I say that many people that are having all these, they say they're intolerant to dairy, are not imbibing in
Yeah,
dairy.
well, the reason
that's
pasteurized was brought in was to extend the life of the milk, so-called. But how long does normal milk remain on the shelf if it's just raw?
Well, that's a very interesting experiment you can
Yes.
do for yourself. Buy some raw milk and then buy some conventional milk,
Okay.
and you will just, notice a big difference in the smell of your raw milk will start to turn into yogurt, it'll get a fermented smell, something
Right.
more like a soured
So
smell.
there's a natural process taking
Natural
place.
process taking place,
Right.
whereas the pasteurized milk will smell awful within a matter of days, as we know. So I really do think that it's about upgrading ourselves, upgrading our choices. That's what we like to teach people here, is that there is a secret to getting foods in their more primal nature. And whether or not you believe that dairy can be part of a primal plan, I suspect that it can.
It can if you're
Chris
able
Kresser
to
says it
digest
can.
Well, if you're able to digest it, that's for sure. There's other reasons too.
Well, you can digest it better if you get raw.
Oh, no doubt
So
about it.
there you
Yes,
go.
Yes, but there are still certain populations that don't. American Indians can't.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
they've got a little more of that gene that shows that the dairy was, they're the primal hunters
exactly.
from originally.
So people choose organic milk and meat for three main reasons: improved animal welfare. I think that's huge too. The positive impacts of organic farming on the environment and the perceived health benefits. But much less is known about the impacts on the nutritional quality, and that's what this study really brought out. Several of the differences stem from organic livestock production are brought about by differences in the production intensity. With outdoor rearing, grass-fed animals produce milk and meat that is consistently higher in desired fatty acids as the omega-3. So what happens is the omega-3 is there, but there's not as much omega-6 or 12 or 9, those other ones. So that means the omega-3 is the one that's dominant.
Right, we really want to get as close to a 1-to-1 ratio, but
Right.
with conventionally raised animal foods, I mean, we have a terribly skewed deficiency of the omega-3s. I mean, like 20-to-1.
Right.
And the omega-3s, I mean, I think almost everyone has heard it in the media, we need to get more omega-3s, and as a result, it has spawned this supplementation industry of a lot of molecularly distilled fish oils and so forth that I think may also not be our
That
best
good choice,
choice.
no doubt,
Yeah. So maybe it's better to get the omega-3s how we should get them when our animals process them. So
And without that extra other fats that are not desirable. We want them in the right ratio, and when those things raise up, it raises ours.
I really believe that nature knows the right mixes of things.
Well, it has to, otherwise we wouldn't be here.
Exactly.
We were thousands and thousands of years, maybe millions of years, in this path of being natural, eating off of the wild, and now all of a sudden we change it, we become sick. Duh, there's kind of a clue there.
Yeah, and 'cause so much of the food that we're eating, is not real food, and then what we're feeding these animals are not real food, kind of along the same lines. I was looking at this article from Dr. Al Sears, and he was talking about, the same thing. When we eat these animals, that are eating inferior food, that's what we're ingesting.
Yeah. Folks, if you'd like to reach us, you can reach us at 877-927-6648. If you have any questions about the show, you can reach Paige at tfnn.com or me at Nico at tfnn.com. And Paige and I will be right back. Yeah, we forgot that. You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, soil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They've been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Platinum, grains, crude oil, gold, copper, cattle, hogs, gasoline, natural gas, coffee, cotton, cocoa, and sugar. These are just some of the commodities mentioned in the most recent issue of Andy Hecht's Techno-Mental Commodity Report. Andy publishes his weekly newsletter every Thursday morning, where he breaks down the commodity market and provides his subscribers with specific trading recommendations based on his trading methodology. By signing up for a free trial to the Techno-Mental Commodity Report, you'll get a full 30 days to try out this powerful newsletter service and see for yourself the types of trades Andy has recommended for his subscribers. When you sign up for a 30-day free trial, you're under no obligation to pay anything. And should you decide to continue, you will lock in the low rate of only $79 a month. Sign up right now for the Techno-Mental Commodity Report and make sure you're ready to catch the next big trade in commodities. For more information and to get started today, visit the front page of TFNN.com.
Are China A-shares hot or not? If you trade China A-shares, now may be time to take a closer look. Trade CHAU or CHAD, Directions Daily CSI 300 China A-share Bull and Bear ETFs. China A-shares in either direction. Visit directioninvestments.com today. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the Direction shares carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact Direction shares at 866-476-7523. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
Nico and Paige take your phone calls now. Toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044.
And welcome back. I'm Paige Clarke, and I'm with Nico Haan, and we're living a primal lifestyle. Nico, really, the rise and fall of Crisco is a story of how Procter & Gamble successfully demonized lard. And it really is an example of a classic in the subtle art of persuasion, and how creative marketing co-opted our health, in my opinion. And I think it's really interesting. I think the listeners would really be interested in learning more about this.
Well, the story of Crisco begins, innocently enough, in a pre-Civil War America, when a candle maker, William Procter, and his brother-in-law, James Gamble, joined forces to with soap products. And
yeah, they were, because the price of lard and tallow that was needed for making soap and candles was getting pricey.
Right.
And so they said, let's look for an alternative.
Right.
And I guess they had some help from the German chemist Kaiser.
Right.
Procter & Gamble developed the science of hydrogenation.
Yeah, by adding hydrogen atoms to a fatty acid chain, this revolutionary industrial process transformed liquid cottonseed oil into a solid that sort of resembles lard.
And you know what? Not content with using hardened cottonseed oil for soaps, and they were also aware and kind of mindful that electricity was coming about and was perhaps going to start to replace the need for candles. That business was going into decline.
Right.
The Procter & Gamble brothers looked for other markets for their new product. And hey, since hydrogenated cottonseed oil resembled lard, why not sell it as food?
Yeah, it was first introduced as Crispo with a K, R-I-S-P-O, but the trademark had complications, so they looked for another name. Actually, Crisco was introduced to the public in 1911. It was an era when wives stayed home and cooked with plenty of butter and lard.
And they were very smart with their marketing.
Yes.
The challenge for them was to convince these stay-at-home housewives that there were merits to this imitation food. So they really went against both butter and lard.
Right, at the same time.
And I submit to you that that's quite frankly, at that time, early turn of the century, there was no such thing as heart disease in this country, really.
Right.
It was almost obscure.
Right.
In fact, the inventor of the electrocardiograph was at Harvard, and they were like, what are you going to do with this machine? You're not going to make any money. I mean, there's no such thing as heart disease, and lo and behold, you can look at the similarity between this hydrogenated fat combined with processed sugars and the deterioration of health in America.
The author says, I remember switching from lard to Crisco to make pie crust when I was a teenager. We always used lard from the farm, but sometime in the 1960s, and this is when I saw kind of the change, Mom innocently brought home the first can of Crisco, like bringing that home for that first Kellogg's Corn Flakes home.
Or
also.
the TV dinner.
Or the
Swanson
TV dinner. And, you know, interesting, this was brought about because the women were home. Then in the 1960s, it kind of switched. Women were starting to work.
Oh,
so
yeah,
now they were making the TV dinners, and everything was easier.
And they were proud and innocently, like the article says. These women thought they were doing good things for their family. They didn't really realize that the degradation of our food quality was going to ultimately affect our health.
Yeah, and also it was interesting too because they made this kosher. So they got this made to be kosher, and they introduced it to a lot of Jewish women. And another thing, that Crisco was one of the first cookbooks that started talking about pastries and baking and things like that. Because if you look at the pre-1900 cookbooks, they're all about the meat and the lard and you know making those types of things. And here we have a company all of a sudden wanting to switch over in the 1950s and 60s the type of cooking that was happening. And this is where this guy comes in, this person who said she switched over when she was a teenager in the 1960s, and it was in the 1950s, late 50s, when I noticed the difference between, you know, that stick of lard, which was kind of gray looking, and there was actually this bubble in there that you had to squeeze to make it look like butter. So that was the dye in there before they could get the dye integrated in it. So you had to, at home, you were actually changing this thing. You were just there kneading it and being so proud that you're eating something healthy, when this was really just a real bad food for us.
You know, this article talks about, the author talks about, you know, a couple of years ago, a friend of hers was an alternative health practitioner, and that she kept running into cases in which patients had very severe upset stomachs after eating chips. And after a bit of investigation and inspiration, she found a common denominator, which they had all been fried in cottonseed oil. And she had herself grown up in the South and knew about the practice of cotton defoliation. And since then, she had counseled her patients to avoid cottonseed and Crisco. I mean, folks, we know that these frankenfoods, foods that are not in their natural state, are not welcomed additions to our bodies. Our bodies are rebelling, and we can see it in, as I call, we have an inflammation nation. We have a nation that's inflamed. The body is looking for nutrition it can use, news you can use like we give people, but food you can use in your body.
Well, it's amazing to me that all of these new types of fats, the vegetable oils and these hydrogenated fats, and I think those vegetable oils are not much different than the trans fat. They're kind of trans fat, but resuspended in a way.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, you know. They created this product, but just a few years shy of its 100th birthday, Procter & Gamble put it on the auction block, and they sold it to Smuckers.
Oh, really?
The jam company.
Oh, boy. No more Smuckers for me.
So maybe they started to see the light at the end of the tunnel and get out of there before. So, you know, people have wisened up to the fact that we need to have healthier fats.
Yeah, we definitely do.
And Crisco we cannot include in that area.
Yeah, and the final statement here, they said, besides all the possible health risks of hydrogenation, I believe there is another compelling reason to avoid Crisco. Just before harvest, cottonseed plants are sprayed and with strong defoliating chemicals to make the leaves fall off, so it's easier to pick the cotton.
Also known as Roundup or glyphosate.
Right. Do your own research. Type the words cotton and defoliation in your web browser and see what you come up with. You will be as amazed as I was. Unfortunately, without the benefits of a lab, it's hard to know how much harmful residue actually is in there. So you really have to go to experiments to find out how bad this really is. But it really transformed our nation, folks. It transformed our nation from what we had before in the 1950s to what we have now. And there's a huge population of sick people.
Right, just one product that gives us an example of that. You know, when you just read that about the spray, I posted something on Facebook just to kind of read it. Let me just see if I can quickly grab it, because it's, did you know? Monsanto encourages farmers to apply Roundup on many crops, including wheat, barley, oats, canola, flax, peas, lentils, and beans, just before they are harvested for you to eat. It's not the gluten, it's the glyphosate.
Yeah, and they really do this for a reason of making it easier to pick. Get those leaves out of there. They're spraying poison on these plants, so they're actually asking this thing to die, so it makes it easier to harvest.
And then we go and eat that stuff. and think think about those images that you have of these farmers in white hazmat suits spraying the toxic chemicals on the food, and then we eat that stuff.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Folks, we have a brand new Health Signals newsletter that's coming out this morning.
Good stuff, folks.
We also have this new stretch here. See if I can bring it up on the telestrator here. If you go to TFNN and you find the stretch right here under Living a Primal Lifestyle Breaking News, you hit that. Nice. There's a whole sequence of nice warm stretches that'll get you ready for the trading day, so please pick that up.
I like that, opening up the pectoralis muscle and the deltoids, because when we expand our chest, we're expanding our lungs. When we expand our lungs, we don't get congested, or we make it harder for little bugs to hang out in there.
Yeah, we don't want little bugs hanging out.
Nope.
We want you to be hanging out with us right here.
That's right.
And the number here is 877-927-6648 if you'd like to join us. We'll be right back.
You've heard Nico de Haan as co-host of Living a Primal Lifestyle, which airs every Friday at noon Eastern Time on TFNN, and would like to tell you about the personal training studio that Nico is the owner and president of, Performance Training. Since 1998, Nico has trained individuals and groups to improve their health both mentally and physically. As a certified personal trainer, Nico's main focus is on demonstrating exercises correctly to avoid injury and teaching his clients how to manage their past injuries while getting the most out of their personal training sessions. The Performance Training Studio is filled with unique training equipment that enhances balanced results at a faster rate while minimizing damage and discomfort. For more information, you can give Nico a call at 727-418-8740 or email him at nico@tfnn.com. Let him know you heard him on TFNN and save up to $100 on a special package just for TFNN listeners. Act today.
Tiger TV is an exciting way to experience TFNN programming. See high-definition video, giving you crystal clear charts, as well as seeing some of the faces of TFNN's highly acclaimed financial experts with crisp, full-fidelity sound. Catch Tom O'Brien, John Logan, Steve Rhodes, Basil Chapman, Larry Pesavento, Think or Swim, David White, Andy Hecht, and Daryl Martin in crystal clear, high-definition audio and video. Tiger TV, exclusively at TFNN.com.
Has the current market volatility continued to stop you out of trades when the market spikes against you? Now is the perfect time to open up an account with Nadex. Nadex, the North American Derivatives Exchange, is a brand new, completely regulated Chicago-based exchange, and unlike most other exchanges, Nadex allows you to trade directly through them with direct market access when using their completely free trading platform, which also features real-time charts and full customization capability. One of the advantages of trading with Nadex in volatile markets is that your risk is always capped and you have the ability of keeping your trades open even when the market spikes against you. Nadex is completely brand new with a line of unique trading products that are unavailable anywhere else. See how it works at nadex.com. That's NADEX.com. Or click on the Nadex banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Futures and options trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for all investors.
Many of our new listeners have heard about the Tiger's Den, but wondered, what exactly is it? The Tiger's Den is a lively community where professional traders and investors can meet, exchange ideas and information in a comfortable, moderated atmosphere. Hear all of your favorite TFNN shows, plus see all the charts as they happen live during those shows, and have access to all those charts. You can test drive the Tiger's Den absolutely free for 30 days. It will greatly enrich your knowledge of these markets. Details on the Tiger's Den are on the front page of TFNN.com. This segment is brought to you by Think or Swim. For more information, just click the Think or Swim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
Welcome back to the show, folks. Nico and Paige here. And during the Super Bowl, there were these ads for for constipation.
Well, our show would not be complete unless we took a few minutes to talk about the Super Bowl.
Well, we talk about
ads.
eating all the time, so it comes out the other end. But this is kind of
What comes in must come out,
Exactly.
and that's the problem, folks.
Yeah.
We are a nation of inflammation, as I always say, and now what we have is we are a nation of
constipation.
constipation as a result of people. One of the highest dollar volume drugs produced by the pharmaceutical industry, folks, are opiates. Opiates are painkillers because we are a nation that's inflamed, and we're now taking painkillers to try and cover up. Did you hear what I said? Not fix, but
Right.
cover up the pain.
Right.
And as a result, very sadly, opiates create constipation, and that's a real sad. It can be a quite dangerous sad effect. A family member of mine actually
It's aggravating. That's for darn
actually
sure.
had a brain bleed as a result of having to be on painkillers or being told they needed to be on. He was in pain,
Yeah.
and as a result, strained on the bowl, and ended up having a brain bleed and never.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, so dire consequences for that. I found that most painkillers, even if they're not opiates, cause me constipation, like Advil and things like that. Aspirin, not so much, but definitely Advil does that to me. But any kind of anything with an opiate in it always did that. So I hate taking them, and I've had some problem with my psoas muscle, trying to get it relaxed. I even took some muscle relaxers, did nothing. I took some of that. Liquid that you have, the moringa.
The moringa. Yeah, the moringa oleifera has 36 different anti-inflammatories.
Yeah, so I started taking that about 3 days ago, and right away it started. And I have been working on this for a month. I mean, here I am, and you're getting ready for a competition. I can't train as much as I want to because of this, and it's always like there's somebody pulling at your groin, just somebody's hanging on there.
It's awful feeling.
Really awful. And I just stopped taking all that stuff. I says, okay, my wife is taking this. I said, and you're always raving about it. So I says, let me just try it. And the first day I took it, there was some relief. The second day, a little bit more relief. This is the third day,
well, good.
a lot
we'll
more
just
relief.
saturate you. We'll give you a super smart
Take a
saturation. That's
bath
what
in
I call it.
yeah.
The super mix,
So,
the smart mix.
all these little things that we add into our diet as a morning ritual really do help, and I really want to thank you for that because you've been harping on me for that, and I started taking it, and right away I see some differences. So
Well, I'm glad
I
to hear
appreciate
that. And the other thing is because Nico, we try and integrate things that work for our
Yeah.
lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's easy to take. It's a great green herb, and then using a little turmeric. As another anti-inflammatory in your cooking, just kind of, a lot of people put it in the spice cabinet. Well, what happens when it's in the spice
It
cabinet?
just gets old, right?
Well, yeah, you don't look at it. So
Right.
put it in a shaker and put it right there, so that you put it into your fat-based foods.
Yeah, I use
and
it with
between
all my pork. I use it. It's a wonderful thing for sure. So let's get back to this. So this was a Super Bowl ad and was about constipation, and really the problem is all the opiates that we're taking, all the different kinds of drugs. It's not just the opiates. It's all this over-counter medicine. It's
absolutely.
also if you're getting your vitamins from the local drugstore, you're probably having that same problem. It's probably not energized like a good organic supplement has
Or
to be.
ionic-based,
Or-
yeah. I mean,
exactly.
that's why these porta potties say that one of the problems they have is that they see all the undigested vitamins that were never used, and
Wow.
people passing them. But
Yeah.
about 40% of people who take opiates for non-cancer pain suffer from some type of constipation. And constipation, guys, is basically you're not taking your trash out regularly, and that's not good. So just like at your house, if you left your trash sitting on the side of the house, it's not going to be an environment that's attractive, right? You need it to happen frequently.
Yeah.
You're going to have maggots, and you're going to have stink, and you're going to have flies, because the bugs are going to come where
It's kind of what we have in our landfills.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Yeah, so we're not doing it the right way there either, because that's kind of a corner. It's near somebody's neighborhood. It's kind of like the nuclear fallout plant. If you want to store the nuclear, yeah, we do, but I don't want it near my house. You've got to store it somewhere, and the dumps are the same in Florida. Well, these are the hills in Florida.
Right. Oh, yeah. It's terrible.
Yeah, I mean, and then they turn them into parks afterwards with the methane still, rising and stuff. So, what we do with our trash is not good, but what we do with our own trash,
It's not good either.
No, especially if it's stuck inside you.
Yeah, and what's really important is to make proper elimination a part of your life. And, my recommendation is to turn to Nature's Pharmacy with an F.
Now, you gave me a really good tea
Yeah.
If people are constipated, this is the Zycha, is it?
This is Zija. This is Zija International is a company that I've been incorporating a lot of their products because they work.
Yeah.
And they were proved by science, nature, but proved by science. And I like to integrate things that people will do that make it fit into their life. And it's a evening tea. This premium tea from Zija has chamomile in it, but it also has some gentle herbs that help to make sure that in the morning you have a moving experience.
Yeah, and it works too.
Yeah,
so I've been taking that for sure. It's amazing that so many people are having these problems, but we see it in our own lives probably. If you don't go to the bathroom at least once a day, and it would be better if you just had it 2 or 3 times a day with every meal.
Right.
And I've been going pretty regularly, twice a day, which is really good for me. I've always had that digestive problems. So for me to be on that, it's just very good.
Well, if you see a mainstream doctor, and first of all, they're probably not even going to ask you anything about your bowel habits, and that's really a part of the problem. It's not about prevention; it's about looking for disease. So really, what we need to understand is, the perfect scenario is that you have an elimination with every meal that you have. And you'd be amazed at how many people, get wide-eyed and like, that's not happening here, And, I personally struggle with that too. It's disruption. You need to make that time so your body gets into that natural rhythm, that the signal that it's okay to do that. So I really encourage people to take this very seriously because it is in the bowel that we reabsorb water balance, and a lot of people don't understand that that's how constipation happens. It's also a sign of perhaps dehydration because if it's that's where the bowel is your last chance to absorb fluids, and you want those fluids to be clean, not loaded with the toxins that we're having. So it really is an important part of health and hygiene.
Not only that, you feel so darn good if you've eliminated properly. It's just a good start to the day, and you get up and you go. And if you kind of eliminate half, half is in there, and that you feel kind of sluggish. And there's a reason for sluggish.
The absorption is happening in the bowel. So
reabsorption.
Reabsorption, correct. We've got absorption of nutrients in the
upper intestine.
The small intestine. But then when we get to the large intestine, elimination, if there's stuff that didn't get processed properly, that's where you're going to reabsorb it. So we get this vicious cycle of toxicity.
Yeah.
So,
and then we can actually talk a little bit about the stool. When we sit on the toilet, of course, we're sitting in a chair posture instead of a squatting posture. Squatting posture squeezes those intestines. It puts you in a posture to eliminate everything. There's nothing stuck there. Like if you're leaning forward a little bit, there could be, even if you've eliminated most of it, there's still a percentage that's still there, and that's toxic, and it's also right by the tip of your spine.
I think that pictures are worth 1,000 words.
I don't want to be putting those pictures up there.
But seriously, the proper positioning is helps things to process out of the body the way they should. So, maybe you want to take a look at, I think it was Gut Sense. Gutsense.org is a website that we saw, a Russian researcher, and I always forget his name, but he really has some good examples of why proper positioning, squatting like our primal ancestors did.
Yep.
So
pick up some Primal Edge, look at my new newsletter that just came out, and you'll be good to go. Paige and I will be right back, and we'll discuss what they're talking about in the chat room a little bit.
You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, soil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They've been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
Tom O'Brien's weekly gold letter, The Gold Report, gives complete and concise coverage of the entire gold market. Inside, you'll get Tom's commentary on gold, the dollar, the rand, the bond, the XAU, the HUI, and detailed coverage of nearly 25 mining stocks. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock trade. The Gold Report is a long-term newsletter where the focus is on building real wealth through the management of a successful portfolio of gold stocks. With a lifetime of knowledge and almost 12 years of writing his informative weekly newsletter, The Gold Report, Tom O'Brien can provide you with the important market information to help you make better trades in the gold market. Don't let the next bull run in gold pass you by. To get a month-long free trial to The Gold Report, an $85 value, visit the front page of TFNN.com today.
David White's newsletter, The Technology Insider, is focused like a laser on finding the next big things in technology. If you had invested only $10,000 in Microsoft in 1986, you'd have been a millionaire by 2000. Disruptive technology like Microsoft's is the key to these massive long-term profits, and the Tech Insider is the vehicle from TFNN to capitalize on these opportunities. This is the go-to newsletter that identifies, monitors, and profits on mostly little-known cutting-edge companies with great long-term prospects. David's experience is as an inventor of Emmy-winning animation products for TV and Hollywood that propelled a company public. Match that with 14 years as a full-time trader, and he's uniquely qualified to guide you through the light-speed world of ever-evolving high-tech. If you're ready to ride the next big technology bull market for less than $40 per month, log on to TFNN.com and get your 2-week free trial to the Technology Insider. Get in on the ground floor of the next big thing today.
This segment is brought to you by TFNN. Test drive all the newsletters for free at TFNN.com.
Welcome back, folks. Let's look at the chat room here. We have Fletch saying, my grandmother used to make my grandfather go to restaurants and make sure they were using butter before they went in. We all sat in the car while he checked that out. That's pretty cool. She was really proactive there.
Well, she knew the butter was the real stuff.
Yeah. And it's funny how out of necessity of war, all these products become mainstream, talking about Crisco, talking about cereals, and all these Frankenfoods.
You know, if you really start to look at the refrigerator and you just ignore the center aisles, you can get in and out. You just go on the curve. And even then, even the refrigerator section and the produce section, you have to be cautious because there's still some processed foods. But
Albert in here is talking about
moringa.
Yeah, moringa. It grows like weeds in my backyard. I need to use it in my soups. The problem is I don't cook much when the moringa is plentiful.
You know, moringa, there's about 50 different varietals. And, you know, the tropical varieties, I mean, we can grow it here, actually.
Yes.
But the species that I'm using in with my clients is the most potent on the planet. It's the Moringa oleifera. It grows only 10 degrees north or south of the equator, and it produces the dramatic effect.
And
so
also,
I think everybody should have a moringa tree.
Grown at altitude.
Yeah. Well, it's in that very dry climate of 10 degrees plus or minus from the equator. And Zeej International, Ken Brailsford, who was the founder of Nature's Sunshine, I really just like this product because guess why? It's in the packet and it tastes good.
Yeah, it does
because
taste good.
Moringa oleifera kind of tastes like horseradish.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's not the tastiest thing. So what happens is like everyone buys their green drink powders and then it sits on the shelf in their house because they really don't want to take it.
Oh, okay.
And you know, so they buy it. So what we like is that it's been they've come with like a green tea. They grow organic stevia there and they make it in these little packets and you know, so quite a few people are really, I'm finding compliance, and you've got all of the essential nutrients, and I kind of combine it with the Primal Edge. I feel like I've got the best thing. I call it my green and black, take your health back. You know, have your black water, have your green moringa, you're all good.
Well, Primal Edge, definitely. It's just an amazing product. Every morning I take it, it's just like a blessing to my body. So I highly recommend people trying that, get on the bandwagon.
The science of fulvicumic acids is really what prompted us. You know, my passion is to help us get good stuff in and get bad stuff out. And that's really
what we did
the key
with
to nutrition.
Yeah. Another key to nutrition is really getting the sleep that you need at night. And one of the things that I learned way early, and my dad told me this, he says, I don't want you to use an alarm clock. I want you to wake up on your own. I says, Dad, how do I do that? He says, well, before you go to bed, you tell yourself what time you want to wake up. And
use the power of your subconscious.
Exactly, and you will wake up at that time. If not the first couple of times, you will after the third or fourth time. And it magically worked for me every single time. So it doesn't really matter when I go to bed. I can tell myself when to wake up, and 99 times out of 100, I'm going to wake up just before that time.
See, that's good self-programming and discipline. Now, with us changing our time frame on this show, I wouldn't trust myself to do that. But maybe, do you, no, you get up at that time.
I always get up at 5. I mean, no matter what, even weekends, I'm up at 5 o'clock. Sometimes I'll lay in there for another half hour just because it's Saturday or Sunday. But I like the mornings as opposed to when I was a teenager. I loved staying up to midnight.
What time do you go to bed?
I go to bed around 9:30.
Okay.
So I get my 8 hours.
Yeah.
And I'm a pretty good sleeper. I've had problems here and there, but when I up my training, sometimes I get a little disturbed sleep. But
my natural inclination is like 11 to 7, which is how I get my 7. For some reason, that's a magic number for me.
Yeah.
If I don't have an alarm clock for whatever reason, my eyes pop open. If nothing forces me to, it's 7:11. But of course, not now.
I think
I'm
we
getting up
would
earlier.
really change our whole system if we just did away with the TV. You don't have the TV on at all in the house when you come home, and then naturally, let's see when you would go to bed naturally. And I think that's a good way of gauging yourself to health.
Yeah.
And of course, the mind too. You're really not ignoring what's going on. You're actually enhancing what's going on but it's what's going on in front of you, not the tube. What's actually happening in your experience on a moment-to-moment basis, and you're not, disturbed.
Well,
So,
maybe some people want to have some tips of how to wake up without
that's
a
exactly
alarm
why I
clock.
brought this.
You can put a timer on your bedside or your room lamp, and if one light fails to wake you after doing some of the retraining that this particular article goes into detail, you can put 2 lamps with timers at different time settings. So I guess that's the idea of the natural light. I think there's some clocks that
There's
do
some
that.
clocks, yeah. I was just going to say that. There's some clocks that start off real light, and as you go, about 20 minutes later, that thing is really, really bright and kind of waking you up naturally. I've never had that, too.
I like the Zen bells, We have an alarm clock that does that just starts with real quiet Zen bells, and then they gradually increase. A lot better than a jarring, horn or something that wakes you out of a, maybe a great dream. Any of you all have
I got
we've got some stuff going on this
someone
chat
at the ranch went out to check on him. This, I guess, is talking about Scalia, perhaps? I don't know. Well, anyway, let's keep going. Okay, so set a clock radio to come on with a loud volume, talk, or music, and maybe keep the lamp as a backup. Depending on the season and how well your blackout curtains are working, leave the curtains open just enough to get the sunlight in. So that's a good way. And I think it's really important that you really darken the rooms. In fact, we darkened the whole house, and all we have on are our salt lamps, which gives it that nice orange little glow. So after about 7 o'clock at night, our house is pretty much dark. We close everything up, and the bedroom is completely dark.
Right.
And it just makes it for a nice transition. Like to read a little bit before I go to bed instead of the TV, and if I do that...
Put aside the electronic reading.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's important.
Yeah, and it's hard to do in days like this because you're always compelled. The iPad or the phone is kind of like the old phone used to be. If it rings, you have to pick it up. Because there was no message in the old days and that stuff. So it was kind of an urgent thing, but probably not important. And, that's kind of the way we were now with all these electronics devices. Never important to go to Facebag or Facebook, whatever you want to call it.
How about the snooze button? Who hits the snooze button?
I don't. I don't have one.
Oh.
Because I don't have an alarm.
Well, that's good. Yeah, because I think that if you have a snooze button,
you'll hit it.
You take, yeah.
Everybody
But sometimes
I know does.
I tell you what I do. Sometimes I wake up and I use my snooze button to just kind of have my little prayer time. And in my mind, I kind of relax and I do my little gratefulness run through. And then the snooze button goes off and I say, okay, time to get at it. But I guess you should be grateful on the run, too. You can get up and be
grateful all the time.
Yeah,
it's a good state of mind to be in. In cooler seasons, program your thermostat to warm in the house before waking time. This mimics the weather and your body's natural response to sensing daytime. We like to take the thermostat down to like 68 to 72,
I like
something
it to
like
be
that.
cold. Yeah,
And then get under those blankets is really nice. When you wake up, it's kind of really cold, so I turn it back up, and then I do all my little usual thing, taking all the products that I take and stuff like that. But, bedtime is a special time. We all spend about a third of our life in bed, and no use spending it in bed if you're not doing something that's proactive. So I think the bedroom is for only two things, sleeping and sex.
Yeah. Well, the bedroom should be a place of retreat, because it's a place where we have repair and renewal. And, I think you offered some really great tips for us today to create that sanctuary where you can turn to healing. And we know that when it's dark, our bodies focuses on going in and repairing.
If you have any questions or any suggestions for the show, you can reach me at Nico@TFNN.com or Paige at Paige on TFNN.com. And Paige and I will be right back.
Hi, I'm Steve Rhodes, host of The Trader's Edge, heard daily at TFNN.com and author of Mastering Probability, a daily investment and trading newsletter service that I send out each morning by 8 a.m. My morning newsletter service covers exactly what the markets have been doing since last night's close, providing you with an edge on your trading day ahead. You get actionable trading ideas, including the exact entry, stop, and profit targets. Plus, I'll teach you the patterns and hidden market correlations that will make you a better trader. As a subscriber, you'll gain access to my 90-minute money management workshop, where I'll teach you the secrets that'll save your assets. The bottom line, I've got your back, including a 30-day money-back guarantee. See for yourself the type of analysis I provide each trading day by signing up for Mastering Probability today. With nothing to lose, this is an offer you should not pass on. Mastering Probability can be found under Trading Newsletters on the front page of TFNN.com.
If you're an active trader looking for that extra edge when it comes to trading and investments, then now is a great time to get a 2-week free trial to Tom O'Brien's daily market letter, Market Insights. Tom O'Brien's daily newsletter, Market Insights, comes out every market day at around 9:30 a.m. and provides Tom's daily commentary on the broad market, including the Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P, plus specific trade recommendations. There's even an update published most afternoons to keep you informed about the day's market activity. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock and option trade. With Market Insights, there's nothing left to guessing. For all the details and to get your 2-week free trial to Market Insights started today, visit TFNN.com.
No matter where you're listening to TFNN programming, you can always access your favorite shows on demand through TFNN.com. TFNN airs live programming every market day from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. Eastern, and you can view each program by accessing Tiger TV through our homepage. We even have an easy link for all mobile devices, including iPhones, iPads, and Android devices, located in the top right-hand corner of the TFNN homepage. You can use your smartphone to view Tiger TV. But if you don't have a connection that can keep up with streaming live video, then you can simply visit TFNN.mobi in the browser of your smartphone for live streaming audio of all our programs. The mission of TFNN is to educate our audience directly and interactively through our interactive website and call-in talk shows. TFNN is able to teach all levels of investors the technical skills needed to trade in today's marketplace. In order to get the best information possible, TFNN has assembled the most respected financial minds in the country to provide the most current news and comprehensive advice available. TFNN.com, educating investors. Join John Logan as he teaches you trading techniques utilizing the TAS Profile Scanner. The Global Market Pulse, next on TFNN.
And welcome back. Hey, Nico, you're always listening to Ben Davidson and Suspicious Observer and kind of keeping us up to date on what's going on with kind of our solar energy and what's going on with our sun.
Well, it looks kind of like a cue ball with no spots. This morning there was a couple of spots, but most of the time we see no sunspots. And according to the data, and this is called cycle 24. And
so we're in a cycle.
We're in a cycle. It's an 11-year cycle. Mm-hmm. And this is superimposed. This one is the last cycle we had.
Okay.
The red one is the current cycle, and this light one, the gray one, is the cycle number 5, which was called the Dalton minimum.
Okay, when the sun was at its lowest output.
Yes.
Okay.
And what happens then, generally...
mini ice age.
Kind of mini ice age. We had one in the 1600s that was quite a large mini ice age, and then we had the Dalton minimum 1800s. They still think it was part of a whole 400-year term. But it appears like this one is acting more like this one instead of this one here. So what it's saying here is the Dalton minimum coincide with a period of lower than average global temperatures. During that period, there was only a temperature variation about 1 degree centigrade. However, this was the lowest number of sunspots, the cause of the lower than average temperatures during the period, and was related to some other phenomenon not well understood. Scientists have suggestion that a rise in volcanism was responsible for the cooling trend.
So it was the year without a summer in 1816,
right,
which occurred during the Dalton minimum, 1816. So I'm assuming, you think of all those people and those huge amount of clothes. Everybody was cold.
Yeah. There was actually the Thames River froze over in England.
Wow.
And they're a pretty temperate zone. But also, we're learning that there's much more earthquakes during this time. Also, much more volcanoes coming alive.
Yeah, it said that the cooler temperatures that summer was the explosive eruption of Mount Tambora in Indonesia, according to many scientists. Mount Tambora was one of 2 largest eruptions in the past 2,000 years. So with this colder temperature comes more volcanic activity, is what you're telling us.
And more extreme weather.
Extreme weather.
We're seeing that in the United States, but we're also seeing it where they had snow in Indonesia.
Right.
They had snow in China, in southern China. They had snow in northern Australia. That's close to the equator. A huge snowstorm in Mexico City.
So what do we say to all these people that are making us feel guilty about global warming?
Well, it's, now they're calling it climate change, so indeed there is climate change. Well, the weather
That's a better term.
Well, it's a better term, but I still think they're pulling the wool because we really don't know. Perhaps we're going into this mini ice age. I think we are. From all the data, I would skew that way. But, we're going to have to wait and see what happens.
Well, there's going to be some volatility is what we're going to see.
We're seeing that already.
We can see, bergs melting and water levels rising and then cold freezes. And so I think what happens when the sun's activity drops into the minimum is we see conflict. We see variability in what's it's not as...
And from the past, we can dictate that there were a lot of activities that we don't see today, much more higher storms at a higher rate. We're definitely seeing that, and let's just see. I think we should keep an eye on this. I listen to Suspicious Observers every morning, and he has a lot of good things on his site. This weekend we had a real good discussion about the Zika virus, but also about the volcanoes that are coming alive. So very interesting stuff. Another interesting thing, John Logan is traveling today, so he won't be on the next Global Market Pulse, but we will be replaying this hour. So if you're coming in late to our show, it's going to be replayed right after we finish here.
Very nice.
Yeah. Folks, we really appreciate you sticking around and helping us out with this, and we'll be back again on Thursday, right?
Yes, we'll see you then. Have a great day.
Yeah, thanks a lot, folks. Pick up some Primal Edge.
Our
new newsletter is out there right now. A lot of important stuff. See you next time.
Since 1984, Basil Chapman has been using the Chapman Wave methodology to advise traders of his expert market opinion. While originally hand-drawing charts from the late 1970s into the 1980s, Basil noticed that prices under most circumstances virtually always had a certain number of legs to the upside before declining sharply. Later, Basil found that computer software, which included the standard market technical indicators, enhanced the degree of accuracy in calling price turns, as well as market trend calls. Thus was born the Chapman wave sequence. Using the Chapman wave methodology along with other indicators, Basil Chapman advises his subscribers of his expert market opinion each market day with his opening call newsletter. Right now, you can get a 2-week free trial to the opening call, Basil's daily trading newsletter, by visiting the front page of TFNN.com. Cancel at any time during that trial and pay absolutely nothing. Get your 2-week free trial to Basil's newsletter, The Opening Call, today by visiting TFNN.com.
You're watching Tiger TV.